Hello, biology students. Today's lecture is going to be broken up into little parts. The first part we're going to hit is the introduction to the terms of behavioral biology. Yesterday we introduced circadian rhythms, and today we're going to be discussing homeostasis. To start us off, homeostasis is the ability of an organism to maintain a stable environment. For instance, cattle try to maintain a body temperature of 101.5 degrees. That temperature is so that the body can do all of its chemical processes and that it can maintain a healthy environment. To accomplish this 101.5 degree temperature, they have about 65 beats of their heart per minute. Dogs, contrary to that, have need a temperature of 102 to maintain a stable environment inside of them, and they use, depending on the size of the dog, will have about 120 beats per minute. The bigger the dog, the slower the heart rate will be. The higher the littler the dog, the higher the heart rate will be. Either a dog or a cat or even a person will try to maintain homeostasis or a stable environment at all times. This gets to be difficult because our bodies are constantly going through metabolism. Metabolism is all of the chemical reactions that are occurring in the body. So metabolism is all of the chemical reactions that are occurring in the body. Homeostasis was our bodies try to maintain a stable environment. As this winter was very cold on cattle, they tried to maintain a 101.5 degree temperature even when it was below zero and we had all of our snowstorms. That stress of winter made it so our cattle did not gain very much weight. Instead of trying to gain weight, what they were doing was burning energy just to stay warm. So this winter, our cattle's homeostasis was not demanding on trying to grow. Instead, it was a demand of maintaining a stable environment just to stay alive because it was so cold. They utilized cellular respiration to break down glucose and make energy to keep that warmth. They could have used fermentation if they had low oxygen levels. Because of this whole burning of energy just to make heat, their protein synthesis was lowered. They did not do as much protein synthesis or the utilizing of nutrients to build proteins, and therefore they didn't get as big inside of some of our feedlots because it was so cold, and they were trying to maintain homeostasis or a stable environment inside of them. Other things that will be happening within within metabolism will be diffusion. Excuse me. Diffusion, which is the movement of materials from a high concentration to low concentration. Now, where we're getting warmer temperatures, our organisms will be going through more cell cycle, where they'll be growing bigger. So our cattle and our pigs and our sheepies and our goats, they'll all be growing bigger within the environment because they can focus this cellular respiration not on just keeping warm anymore. They can focus this cellular respiration to make energy so that we can make more cells in the cell cycle. Or, right now is a prime example of what's called calving season and lambing season, where cattle and sheep are giving birth because it's the spring, and they're utilizing the sex cells that were produced during meiosis last year in the fall or summer, and the combination of those sex cells of the male's sperm and the female's egg were combined to formulate a fertilized embryo that now is being given birth, and that meiosis then will need to be repeated and more sex cells will be reproduced here within the next few months so that the whole process can happen again. This metabolism and homeostasis are two introductory terms that lead us to our next objective. And our next objective is behaviors. To maintain our homeostasis and maintain metabolism, we have behaviors. When I say we, this applies to people, dogs, cats, amoebas, bacteria, any organism, plants even, all have behaviors. A behavior is any reaction to a stimulus. These behaviors then are reliant on stimuli, which is a environmental action or an environmental stress or an environmental item that causes or can cause a response. A response is a reaction. So a behavior is any response to a stimuli. A stimuli is something within the environment that poses to have a response of, and a response is just a reaction. For instance, this winter, back to my example to wrap all this up, when it was a negative 2 degrees outside, our cattle were trying to make a 101 degree temperature. They would eat to gain nutrients. So their behavior was, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. Once they got hunger occurring, the nutrients then would be broken down, and they would use those nutrients to produce heat. The behavior they were showing was hunger because they needed to produce energy to maintain a 101 degree temperature.